Joining us now, Chris Direwalt, our Fox News digital politics editor, Tom Bevan, co-founder and publisher of RealClearPolitics.com, and Dr. Larry Sabato is the director of UVA Center for Politics. Great to see you all. Let me start with gentlemen on the set. Nate Silver, who's been wrong a lot this election. I'm sorry, he has. 538. He got it.
He nailed it. One thing, but
he nailed it.
Good.
He nailed it 4 years ago, but he was a hot mess during the primary season. But he says Hillary has a 70% chance of winning. Do you agree with that, Tom?
Roughly.
Could you expand on that?
Look, I think Hillary has the advantage. Certainly, we just talked about Trump has a narrow path. He's going to have to do certain things, hold certain states, and perhaps pick off, maybe upset in another state. And so I think she's got the advantage. And roughly, yeah, I would say 30%.
Do you agree with what Jason Miller was saying about Colorado looking very much in play for the Trump campaign?
Not particularly, but we need to be careful when we look at all this early voting data. As Trace was pointing out, we don't know. We can guess based on the counties that they're coming from, the zip codes that they're being mailed in from. We can extrapolate a lot of stuff out of this. But here's something that happens every year now. Every cycle, more people vote early. This year, at least 40% of all the ballots cast in the United States are going to be have already been cast. 40% of the election is already over, and in some states, it's much higher. So every year, we have to bear in mind that that level goes up, and so it's harder to extrapolate past results into the future.
Dr. Larry Sabato, you are also predicting, because you don't pull your punches. You always give us a prediction before these presidential races, and you are saying it's going to be Hillary Clinton. You say it's going to be Clinton 322 electoral votes, Trump 216. You say that it'll be a 50-50 tie in the Senate, which if we have a President Clinton means the Democrats control it. Why? Why can't you see the scenario where Trump wins North Carolina, Ohio, Florida, and then flips Pennsylvania, which would do it for him, or Michigan plus one other?
Well, Megan, I can see it. It's pretty plain
Why
on the
don't
map.
you believe it?
I don't think it's likely. I really don't. Now, by the way, I want to reinforce what Chris just said about the early voting statistics. I have seen these things misused for years, and it's getting worse rather than better. People are claiming to see things they can't possibly see just in the data for early voting. But, Megan, it goes way beyond that. You know, we now have hundreds of polls in the key battleground states and nationally as well. We've got a pretty good sense of how this has gone. We've been through the scenarios about the hidden Trump vote, and some people claim there's a hidden Hillary vote. I don't think much of it's hidden on either side. I think the odds are very good that Hillary Clinton will be elected president. You can argue about the exact number of electoral votes. God only knows. It could be lower than our projection. It could be higher. But with 322, basically, Clinton can lose some of her key states and still win.
Okay, but let me ask you this.
Trump has to carry everything.
Let me ask you this, Larry. Tomorrow night, if you're wrong, if Trump is managing to turn the tables and actually eke out a victory here, what will be the first signs of that in your view? What do you think are the most vulnerable states for her that he might check off?
Well, at the top of the list would be North Carolina. That's one we really struggled over. I think it's extremely close. Second, of course, would be Florida because it's 29 electoral votes, and if he doesn't carry that, Trump has no chance.
Okay.
New Hampshire, you would add. Okay, you look at the East Coast, right? Because we're going to learn pretty much what's going on from there first.
I like that because we'll know early. But Tom, what do you think?
No, look, another state where the polls close early is Indiana, and there's a hot Senate race there, and you know Trump's ahead in the polls. It's not like he's going to lose that state, but you know if he overperforms his polls by 5% or more, then you could say, well, guess what? The Trump voters are showing up at the polls, and that might augur well for him in some of these other states.
You think he got 5 points of overperformance? You think he's got go-go juice in there?
Well, that's an example. But what would be the signs you would look for early? I mean, you're going to get the exit poll results early on in that 5 o'clock hour.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to tell me.
Right.
We're going to come out here and say it like this.
Right. Well, it'll be
semaphore.
I'll be doing a semaphore over here.
So but really, what will you see in there if Trump is headed toward a victory?
So basically it is for Donald Trump to win, he needs an army of older white voters to basically storm the polls. That's why Michigan is as close as it is. And as a matter of fact, I think that Trump has a better shot in Michigan than he does in Pennsylvania, because there are these voters there. When we look at places, not just Macomb County, but Saginaw County and the places just north of Detroit, there are tons of those voters there, and that's what he needs.
10 electoral votes in Michigan.
Big time. Big league.
Great to see you all.
Yes, ma'am.